Classic pairs like peanut butter and jelly, Sonny and Cher, TikTok and fashion dolls and childhood trauma? Let's talk about it. Hello, Champagne Dreamers. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. I don't know how you found me, but I hope you'll hit that subscribe button down below. Stick around. We have a good time here. I am super excited to bring you this video. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a different video. This is related to my Barbie collection. I have part 1 and part 2 up here on this channel. We're going to do an update video at some point with some different things that we've picked up. We may add some play sets into the mix. We've got some special edition Barbies that we're going to look at, some celebrity Barbies, things like that. But for today, we're going to be talking about my first Barbie, who wasn't a Barbie. Let's talk about it. We're getting into it right now.
It won't go away. I've got that feeling rushing through my body. I know that it is here to stay. It's like you're my personal Illuminati. I know that some might say that I am just a bad girl, but if you treat me right, I will be the best girl in this whole world. No, I'm not gonna bite.
Yes, this is going to be a very different video. If you like the lighthearted collection videos, you are free to skip this video. You don't have to watch it. We're going to be talking a little bit about some trauma. We're going to talk about some internalized homophobia. We're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about it through the lens of a very specific Barbie doll. So if you want the lighthearted stuff, this is maybe not the video for you. But if you want to hear more and hear my thoughts, then go ahead and stick around, because I'm super excited to show you the first Barbie that I ever owned. Now, I no longer have the actual doll, but I repurchased the doll on eBay. So we're going to talk about it. Now, in my Barbie video part 1, which I'll link right here for you in case you missed it, I talked a lot about the Ken who ruined Christmas, the little plastic terrorist that ruined my Christmas when I was like 5 years old because I really wanted Western Barbie, and instead I got Western Ken. Mama Champagne, we're never going to let you live that one down. But once I had a Ken, I wanted a Barbie even more. They are a pair, Barbie and Ken, Ken and Barbie. They are meant to be a pair. They are meant to be together. And if you're only going to have one, I certainly wasn't going to only have Ken. Are you kidding? With his big, chunky, ugly man feet and his separates, his pants and his shirt, and no silvery fringe. Are you kidding me? I had to get a Barbie to go with Ken. Clearly, I was investing early in heteronormativity. I should have just gotten another Ken and let him fuck it out, and I would have figured out things a lot earlier. So we were in the Minot Target. I don't know how long after that Christmas it was. I feel like it was not winter, so it would have been maybe that next summer, next spring. I feel like it was warmer weather out, and I convinced my mother to let me get another Ken so that my Ken would have a friend. Foreshadowing. Gay. But I threw a little bit of a tantrum where I was like, I want to pick it out. I don't want you to be here watching me. I want to pick it out myself. I want to be the one to pick it out. Now, at the time, she gave me like $5, and there was probably only one Ken that would have been in that price range, because the dolls that we're talking about were like a value line. A lot of times they would have the more expensive dolls that had the fancy outfits and, you know, gowns and tuxedos. But then there was usually like a swimsuit line where they didn't even have shoes. And so that was like the bargain line for like cheap kids like me who could just come in and buy it or whatever. But I was like, I want to pick it out. I don't want you to be here. And somehow she let me get away with it. I was like, you go to the car. I will pay for it myself. You give me the money and I will go pay for it, and I'll be a big boy and I'll go through the checkout all on my own, and I'll come and meet you at the car. So the plan was to get her to go away, grab the blonde Barbie. There was this tropical swimsuit line, grab the blonde Barbie and head to the checkout. But I didn't. Something stopped me from buying that blonde Barbie. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It seemed too forbidden, too off limits. And so instead, I made a compromise. Barbie's Asian friend, Miko. Now, I don't know how often they had Asian dolls in the Barbie line. There was often a black friend like Christy or Dee Dee. There was sometimes a Hispanic friend, Teresa. There were other white friends like Francie and Midge and some of those other dolls, but there wasn't as often an Asian doll. So I picked up this one. I ended up with Tropical Miko. Let's unpack that. First, as an adult, I'm sort of horrified by that. As a queer person growing up in the 80s, everything was super gendered. Now, obviously there had been boys' toys and girls' toys before this, but something happened in the 80s where that gendering of toys and clothes and all the things was so extreme. It was like ramped up to 12. It was just out of control. And I, as a little queer kid, a little queerdo, I never understood the rules. All I knew is that I was always doing them wrong. I was always picking up the wrong toy. I was picking out the wrong items from the dress-up box in the kindergarten room. I wanted to play with all of it. I wanted to play with the fireman outfit and with the princess outfit. I didn't understand what these rules were, and I only knew that I was always doing them wrong. Nobody really explained to me what was right. I was just supposed to know on my own, but I clearly didn't, and I clearly wasn't doing it right, and so I just kept getting corrected and picked on because I was doing it wrong. And that wrongness caused me shame. It made me feel shame about who I was, about the things that I wanted, the things that I desired, and so many of my transgressions were about what Barbie represented. She represented that 80s beauty standard of blonde, tan skin, blue eyes, body, hourglass perfection. That is what I wanted. There was something about that that I desired, and I didn't understand why I wasn't supposed to desire that. Now, I could never have verbalized it at the time when I was 6 or 7 or however old, but I understood on a deep level that non-white, black-haired Miko had less cultural value than blonde-haired, tan Barbie. And so in picking up that Miko doll, it felt like less of a transgression. It felt like less of a violation of the rules that I never knew how to live by. It was a compromise that I made about something that I desired, hoping that it would cause me less shame, less retribution for wanting that thing. And second, this moment, as I think back on it, is key to helping me understand the idea of internalized racism. And the reason why I say that is because that compromise, picking up that Miko doll, felt like a compromise. It felt like it was compromising to me and my desires. I wanted that blonde Barbie. I wanted that blonde Barbie more than I wanted Miko. I valued that blonde Barbie more than I valued Miko. And when I purchased it and snuck it out to the car, not only did I feel that shame of transgressing these rules that I didn't understand, but I also felt like I didn't get the joy that I thought I would get from adding this Barbie to my collection. Adding this toy, this particular desire to my collection, to my life. I didn't feel that same sense of joy because it was so wrapped up in this shame and the fact that I personally didn't place the same value on this doll versus the other. So I was glad to have a companion for my Ken, but I didn't feel the same joy looking at black-haired Miko that I had looking at a blonde-haired Barbie. And that obsession with blonde hair has continued into adulthood. I mean, check the material. Except for the rare diversion to some other color, usually one that's not found in nature, like teal or hot pink, I still dye my hair blonde. I still bleach my hair and color it so that I can have that blonde, bleachy Barbie perfection. So I had Miko, but I immediately started plotting my next scheme to try to finally get me that blonde Barbie. And eventually I did. I was able to pick up Dream Glow Barbie. Now this obviously is not the blonde, white version of Dream Glow Barbie. I don't have a white Dream Glow Barbie right now. That's on my shopping list. It's one that I'm still looking for. But I did find this one and I was very excited. I found a good deal. Dream Glow Barbie is one of those that's a little bit more expensive sometimes, so I have to really kind of be on the lookout. And so when I found a loose one that had all of the accessories, had the shoes and the parasol and the whole thing. I don't know how this thing is going to save you from any sort of rain or anything, but here we are. And it glows in the dark. It's cute. In the part 1 video, when I talked about Dream Glow Barbie, I talked about this kind of funny story where I had saved up my money and I went to the Ben Franklin store in Kenmare and I picked out Dream Glow Barbie and I brought her up to the front and I thought I was being so smooth and I was trying to cover up. And so I said that it was a gift from my sister and that I asked if they did any gift wrapping, not realizing that we were in such a small town. We were from a small town and we were in the neighboring small town, and it was small enough that they probably knew who our family was and they probably knew that I didn't have a sister. But she never said anything. She just rang it up. She said they didn't do gift wrapping or whatever. But it's kind of a funny story that I've told a few times at different shows, on different podcasts and things. And I do think the story is funny. I was such a schemer as a kid. I was always trying to get my way. I was always trying to get kind of the best deal. And so when I didn't want to be caught for wanting this Barbie, I thought I had come up with the perfect plan, and there was just such an obvious loophole in it that I didn't think of. So I think it's funny because I thought that I was real slick, but a lot of times I wasn't nearly as slick as I thought I was. But behind the humor, that story also reminds me of all of this shame that I was carrying around as a kid for wanting all of these things that I wasn't supposed to want, these dolls and shiny, beautiful, sparkly jewelry, and the little ponies that weren't supposed to be mine. There is a quote that I found that I'm going to read off my phone because I want to make sure I get it right. It's from Alexander Leon. Queer people don't grow up as ourselves. We grow up playing a version of ourselves that sacrifices authenticity to minimize humiliation and prejudice. The massive task of our adult lives is to unpick which parts of ourselves are truly us and which parts we've created to protect us. The first time I read that quote, I didn't even tear up. I just had to sit in silence with that because it resonated with me so powerfully. And I think about my life and I think about the parts of my personality that I've built up just to be tough, to be responsive to this world that didn't want to acknowledge or validate my little queer heart and desires. So much of my toy collecting is about repurchasing the things from childhood that I didn't have, that I couldn't have, that I didn't have the opportunity to have and enjoy and really play with and explore that part of my gendered identity. It's all about purchasing the things that felt like they were off limits, or if I had them, that I was sort of punished for having them. It's about allowing myself femininity. And I don't blame anybody for making me feel that shame. That was the culture, it was in the world. I mean, I had lots of female action figures from a lot of different lines. I had a lot of My Little Ponies. You know, my mom wasn't really very happy that I lied to her when we got home and she found out that I bought Miko instead of Ken, but she didn't shame me for buying Miko. She didn't make me get rid of Miko. She didn't throw her away. She didn't do anything like that. It was just like, oh, well, you lied to me and that's not great. But she didn't really kind of push this idea that I shouldn't have had it or there was something wrong with it. It was just everywhere. It was just the culture. We were marinating in it. You couldn't escape it. So it's not even something that you noticed. It just was such a strong element of that 80s childhood that I couldn't escape from it. As an adult, I think I'm thankful for having had that experience. I mean, a lot of the experiences that I had, a lot of that childhood trauma, obviously still working through that. This is how it's going. We're clearly working through some gender issues here. But I think the silver lining is that in that experience, I was able to see my own internalized racism. I was able to see the way that I had placed value on different dolls. And then when I learned about that experiment from the 40s or the 50s where they showed children a white doll and a black doll, and they asked them questions like, who's the smart doll? Who's the pretty doll? Which doll is ugly? Which doll is messy? All these sorts of things. And the way that all of the children of any color put all of their good feelings onto the white doll and all of the bad feelings onto the black doll. I mean, that experiment is heartbreaking. If you watch any sort of documentary, if you read about it, I mean, it's just heartrending. The Black Barbie documentary is really fun and upbeat, but they do cover that experiment and they talk about it and they talk about the effects of it and how that experiment was quoted in legal briefs around cases having to do with desegregation and all that sort of stuff. So it really is important. And it was one of those moments that allowed me some perspective on that and allowed me to look at myself and say, what's going on with you? What's going on with you that you also place those feelings? And so it helped me kind of look at that and look at what I had internalized and how I wanted to be different. And I'm not alone. Controversial yet brave. I think that if you are a white person who grew up in the United States, you have some internalized racism. You just do. You can't have grown up in this culture. I mean, I'm sure there's some person, you know, there's always a keyboard warrior in the comments who wants to be like, well, actually, this person was raised this way and they did this and I get it or whatever. But I think that if you are a white person in the United States, at some point in your socialization, you internalize some racism. That's not a judgment. That's not a condemnation. That's just a fact. And facts are facts, and facts are not feelings. Recognizing that fact isn't about wallowing in guilt about it either. That's not the point. Because if you do that, you don't grow and you don't evolve. This experience, as I look back on it, helped me identify it. It helped me acknowledge it so that I can look at myself and try to find ways to change it so that I don't have to keep holding on to that. I don't have to keep bringing that baggage into my interactions with other people, into the world. It gives me the opportunity to try to unlearn it. And any experience that does that, once you can process that shame and heal from it, is a blessing. Like Maya Angelou said, when you know better, do better. And while it's important to me to reclaim my queer joy, to heal and support that little sissy kid who wanted all the wrong things and all of the things that they were not supposed to want and was constantly reminded that they didn't fit in, it's also important for me to recognize when I've internalized other negative attitudes and work on them and work on improving them and getting rid of as much of that garbage that causes me to not show up as my best self. So that is it. That is the video. I know a lot different from my other collection videos. If you've stuck along this far, thank you so much. I would appreciate it if you would give me a little thumbs up to tell me that you made it. Or you know what? If you are one of those maggots, I don't know how you made it this far in the video, but if you're like, no, you do pick all the wrong stuff, you big queer, you go ahead and just give me that thumbs down, because you know what? It's all engagement. We are healing and processing, and we are taking the engagement and riding it as far as we can. So you know what? The algorithm isn't a picky bitch, and neither am I. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified of all future uploads. I try really hard to make sure that I have at least one video a week, and I try to spread it out among glam, geek, and gore so that there's a little bit of something for everyone. And you know what? Sometimes, if you're very lucky, you might even get a bonus video. Ooh, Miko-rific! If you'd like to chat, banter, or commiserate between uploads, all of my social media will be linked down in the description box below, including a link to my website, The World of Champagne, at janessajay.com. By the way, there may just be an early version of this script available as a blog on janessajay.com. Check it out. Thank you so much for watching. I love and appreciate all of you. I love it when you stick through some of these more serious videos. I really do appreciate it. This is something that I just wanted to share because my Barbie collection is a lot of fun. It's light and it's frothy, but there's also things that have deeper meanings for me, and I really wanted to make sure that I added Miko to my collection, that she got a moment to really be appreciated for herself, that she got to be appreciated for her own unique, fabulous beauty, like all of us should be. So I'm so glad that you stuck around, and until I see you again, bye. TikTok and
hand jobs?
Yep, hand jobs. Fashion dolls and turning the page.
Really pretty. Very, very pretty. Beautiful. Gorgeous.
Excellent.
Love it.
Oh, why are you stabbing me, bracelet? Why you do this to me, Demi?
Oh, would they do it to you?
And I don't make... Blah.
It sounded like you said, like my Angelou.
My Angelou.
Because I was like, it started hearing me, you know? My Angelou.
Yeah. Bye. Okay.
It was a weird bye.
That was a weird. It was still weird, but...
It wasn't
I
as much
waved with the
bye.
other hand, but it got weird.